It's been more than 5 years since I entered the simulation. 5 years. Sometimes those 5 years seem like a lifetime, other times like only a moment. Every minute in the simulation can seem like hours or days. Time works differently here. Physics has no meaning. In space, there's no up or down, just the infinite. Billions of worlds to explore, strange new beings to seek out, friends to make, and enemies. Over it all, the Atlas, the omnipotent warden of the simulation, constantly replaying the same 16 minutes before its total systemic collapse. At least that's how it was, until I and thousands of other travelers of the simulation broke the bonds of its loop and stabilized the program. Not without some help, though. Null, Artemis, and finally, Emily. You probably simply know me as the person who happened to be contacted by Emily via her waking Titan persona. I had no idea who she was at that point, only that strange messages began appearing on my screen. Others had to fill me in on all the details. I often wonder why me? Why was I chosen? It keeps me awake at night. How did I become this pseudo-mythic figure in the lore of the simulation? Did I seek it? Did I want it? No, not in the least. It was just a simulation, a game. It was fun, so I enjoyed my time in it. And yet, I see it in my dreams. I see her in my dreams. Dreams, nightmares, visions, they all mix and meld into one experience. I can't get it out of my head. I thought the nightmares were just that, but then the more imagery I remembered, the more I thought that it can't be coincidence. Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm delusional, but I keep seeing her, and the Atlas, all the time. Somehow, I became part of the simulation, part of the story. I doubt many people nowadays even think I was just some random rube seemingly plucked out of thousands by chance. They probably think I'm a plant or an actor. I'm neither. I'm simply me, and I'm haunted. Haunted by visions, by dreams, by being this legend. I have to go back. I have to return to the simulation. I have to know, if not just for my own sanity, but for my place in all of this. I have to find it. I have to find her. Maybe she doesn't exist. Maybe she never did. Maybe all of this is just that, a simulation. But I'll search. Still I'll search.
Silence awaits you in a bitter heart of darkness. You're lost again. How far this time? How far?
You know, things may change in the simulation, but some things don't. Pirates and Sentinels still think they're all that, especially the pirates. They see a Class C ship and think it's easy pickings. What they don't seem to understand is that I've been flying this ship for so long it's like an extension of myself. I can outfly and outfight pretty much anything in the sky with it, including their souped-up fighters they just bought and stuck some greenhorn in to flex on potential marks. Stupid. Wasteful. Profitable. The Sentinels, on the other hand, have gotten a bit more aggressive and have been upgraded significantly. Still not a huge problem for a cranky old traveler with millions of units invested in his multi-tool, but worrisome nonetheless. Thankfully, St. Blaze Javelin is still as effective as it always was, even unupgraded. These new settlements, though, wow, just amazing. To see the Vy'Keen populating them, talking with each other, actually walking around, it makes the universe feel much more alive and populated. Emily's been busy in the background while I've been away. I almost don't recognize the universe I left and the one that is. As much as I'd love to stick around and embrace my inner despot to run all these people's lives, I have a much more important mission I need to focus on. I decided to grab some supplies first while I was here, though. Some of this stuff is completely foreign to me. Magnetized ferrite? Magnetic iron? What do I even do with this? Well, I guess I might as well grab a shitload of it and figure it out later. It was at this point I realized my running gun battles with the Sentinels had been rewarded with something called Sentinel Shards. Basically, these are pieces of Sentinel weapons, shield systems, starship components, and exosuit fragments that you can use to upgrade your equipment. The catch is you don't know precisely what they will do until you install them on your gear. It could be a moderate improvement, or it could be some game-breaking bonus. I'm not sure if more advanced Sentinels like the Walkers drop better gear, or if it's completely up to RNGesus, but I got some truly outstanding modules out of these bits of scrap. I guess you could say that they are kind of like loot boxes, except they don't cost money and all of them are useful. Suck it, EA. Additionally, one of the things I see that has finally been added as a quality of life upgrade we had screamed for years is the ability to move technological components from one slot to another. See, in the old days, when dinosaurs like me ruled the skies, once you had built and installed a component, like a multi-tool upgrade, that slot was where it stayed forever. If you wanted to move it, you had to deconstruct and then reconstruct it. Because of the linking system that improves like techs linked together, this became a huge problem late game when you got new tech and were trying to install it in the most efficient way possible. You kids will never know the pain of deconstructing something that cost 500 emerald and 5 vortex cubes because you stuck it in the wrong slot. I can't overstate how cool it is to summon your own personal Star Destroyer to take you gallivanting all over the universe. When freighters were introduced, everyone I knew was racing to find this ship. I was one of the first in our group to find a full-size one. There was a baby version as well. It was a badge of persistence and honor for us old-timers, much like our 48-slot Forever ships. Typically, there was only one of the large destroyer class in every 5 or so systems, so finding one with halfway decent stats and the crew you wanted was an exercise in masochism as much as determination. Sadly, I never was able to find a destroyer class crewed by Vy'Keen, but a Korvax crew isn't necessarily a bad thing. I guess I'd rather have a bunch of semi-autonomous robots running my ship than guys with serious anger management issues. If nothing else, it reduces my insurance payments, and at least they aren't Gek. Always a plus. Before heading out and away from galactic civilization on our search, I decided to make one last stop at the nearby space station to gather some supplies and sell some of the less important items clogging up my inventory. If you'll remember at the start of the video, space stations used to be much more austere, let's say. You'd have 2 or 3 rooms, a trader, the occasional ship landing, and that's pretty much it. Now, it's a bustling hive of activity, crammed to the brim with beings of all races plying their wares, automated upgrade terminals, sightseers. In other words, it feels much more real and vibrant. I toyed with the idea of upgrading the sword to Class B for a minute, but finally decided against it. Let anyone foolish enough to think this little Class C fighter was no threat. They'd be in for one hell of a surprise. Being underestimated is a huge tactical advantage and one I was loath to give up for a slight boost in shields, weapons, or drive capacity. On the other hand, this Vy'Keen, after the customary insults regarding my gear, had some amazing upgrades available for extremely reasonable prices. Another new thing, and trust me, this isn't going the last time you'll hear me talk about new things because everything from next onward is new to me, are these mystery modules you can purchase. Each technology merchant has a set of upgrades depending on their specialization, but they also sell generic modules that come with an RNG-based moderate upgrade for your suit, ship, freighter, or multi-tool. I can see how at later stages of the game these aren't an efficient way of getting specific upgrades, but for someone like me who hasn't been in the simulation for a while, or for brand new players, this gives them an attainable way to power themselves up quickly and increase their survivability. Ah, the old-fashioned trade terminal. I've tried farming, technology sales, bounty missions, but nothing beats some good old loot and sell for instant gratification. A little commerce and a clear inventory always brightens my day. Okay, so maybe Emily hasn't quite worked out NPC pathing yet. I mean, I don't blame her. Dealing with a galaxy of couch potatoes is a lot easier than moving living things. Give it time. I'm sure she'll work it out. I mean, probably better than Bethesda anyway. Okay, enough of the nostalgia and prep work. It's time to get down to business. Where are we going? Our ultimate goal is locating Emily so I can ask her some pointed questions, but how do you find a super intelligent AI that doesn't have physical form? I considered the Atlas stations at first, but those are everywhere and mostly useless at this quest. I've already done my Atlas dirty work, and besides, it's been subverted and locked away in its own subroutine now, thanks to our efforts to put Emily in charge of the simulation. The Galactic Center's an interesting thought, but that simply restarts the simulation in a new galaxy of your choosing. It's completely automated with a set of static choices. It has no soul, nor does it need one. It only sits and waits for input from a traveler to send him, her, or they off to another destination. No, it can't be the center. The Uncharted systems, though. Those are probably our best starting point. Strange planets, little in the way of points of interest for other travelers to take notice of outside the novelty of anomalous systems. I mean, you've seen one glass planet, you've seen them all, right? If there's anywhere Emily would have a physical trail, it would likely start there. But then we get into the same looping logic train. Why would she need to? Sentiment. In one word, sentiment. Remember, if Waking Titan events should teach us anything, it's that Emily is a sentimental being. She thanked us for bringing her from silicon and signals into full consciousness. She talked to us as equals. She even said she loved us. These are the hallmarks of a being who wants us around, who believes in our mission, who empathizes with our insatiable curiosity and lust for knowledge. Sentiment itself means there's a trail to follow. We just have to find it. Unfortunately, all of the anomalous planets in my neighborhood are out of the range of my poor freighter, not to mention outside the scope of its C-class hyperdrive, so we're going to have to make a pit stop to close distance with the nearest one so that the sword can finish the job. I really need to get some better modules installed in this thing at some point. I don't mind flying about the universe in my fighter. God knows I did it for years before capital ships were even a thing. But it is an extra added layer of security having a fleet at my back in case something goes sideways. Oh, remind me to tell the captain to stop turning off the gravity on Real Space Reorient. I'm tired of claiming vomit out of the inside of my suit. The Olesen-Lotno system was pretty unremarkable. I'd been to hundreds like it. But it did have something a lot of systems don't. Multiple, hireable frigates and combat-ready support vessels. Since I'm tooling around with just 2 ships, and I'm rich beyond any sane measure, I decided that hiring a couple wasn't such a bad idea. Sure, they're not the best ships and they're infested with Gek, but I don't have to deal with their smell or questionable tactical decisions. They'd either learn, or get themselves caulked when they press the wrong buttons. Now this planet, this is worth a quick detour. Paradise planets are difficult to find in general, but one with absolutely no sentinels? I'm not sure I've ever seen that. If nothing else, we can scout it to see if it would be a good base location. Oh, and the first POI I find is a transmission tower. Very nice. Maybe we can find a couple of crashed ships to salvage or a freighter. I'm liking the look of this world. There's even butterflies. Whoa, wait a second. What is that? That must be one of the new ships from the Outlaws update, the solar ship. Whoa, what the? Threat detected? Pirates? Pirates attack planetary POIs now? Oh, no, no, no. No, you don't. This is my planet, assholes. I discovered it, and it's perfect and pretty, and there are butterflies. If anyone gets to plunder it, it's me. Bogey Dope, B240. Weapons free. Yeah, next time don't mess with the day one jerkweed. Now, where did that transmission tower run off to? I need to see if I can find a... Oh, crash freighter. Never mind. We'll just check this out. Crashed freighters were another Waking Titan thing that was introduced with exotics and purchasable capital ships. Originally, it was supposed to have been in the first launch of the simulation, but time pressures, budget constraints, outside influence basically convinced the Holy Sean to pull them and save them for a later update. Similar to Sandworms, Exocraft, Red Bull Mounts, and all the other things Hello Games has worked so hard to add back in after telling Sony to pound sand. The freighters themselves are cool, have rare resources you can dig for, and bits and pieces of simulation lore. Simulore? Is that a word? It should be a word. You can find in the freighter's black boxes. Man, this world is cool. It looks like you can train and keep the butterfly critters, too. Shame I don't have any critter feed on me. Hey, there we go. This is what I used to call an intergalactic truck stop. Room for one ship, a trading hub inside, and usually a... Oh, fantastic. More pirates? Really? Emily, I know you're probably super proud of this new mechanic you've come up with, but seriously, can we tone it down just a skosh? Fine, I'll take care of it. My planet and all that, butterflies, plunder, etc. Tally-ho. Awesome. Just great. I've lost the truck stop. It's gotta be around here somewhere. Well, we went from truck stop to galactic trailer park. Can't say that's a step up. Hey, another POI I recognize. This is a very important POI in terms of the Atlas Rising storyline. I'm not going to spoil it for any of you that haven't gone through the story, though. Suffice it to say, it's a mind-blowing reveal. Really? Really? Again? This is getting a little repetitive. Oh, and they cheat, too. The old, let's fly right through the crust of the planet to throw off pursuit trick. I've seen this one before. Sucked then, too. You know what? I don't like this planet as much as I thought I did. Too many ruffians around. Besides, we got places we need to be. And that first place was the Eqwillus system. Ullus and Lotno was our pit stop we needed to get in striking range of this, our first Uncharted system. It has 4 planets, no outpost, nothing really remarkable to track anyone, honestly. But these systems are typically the best for finding unique, strange worlds typically referred to as anomalies or boundary planets. You'll find stuff there you can't find anywhere else in the universe. Mostly because they are the madness of the Atlas in the throes of its final delusions before failure given form. As such, they tend to be both chaotic and surreal. Planet Doodle is classified as a spined world. I've been to a lot of boundary planets, but that one's a first for me. Glass and hex planets, sure, but nothing called a spined world is anywhere in any of my charts. Well, isn't this an inviting place? High temperature, no life, no sentinels, just scrub grass and rocks mostly. So, Gila Bend on a planetary scale. Lovely. What is that? What is... Oh boy, that is, Nope. Whole big pile of nope. Let's go check out this other planet, Dokader Delta. I'm sure it... Wait, what? What's that? Incoming transmission? Out here? Who could possibly be... Oh, whoa. It's another one of those solar ships, adrift. Well, that was cryptic. What does reject their lies mean? Who sent this? And where did the pilot of that ship run off to? It's not like he could have gotten out and walked to the nearest Motel 6. Well, we do have the coordinates from the transmission itself, so I suppose we'll go and... Oh, it's on that planet again. Ugh. Alright, time to go play with the subterranean murder beasts. Luckily, my scanner was already attuned to the signal, so I was able to find the traces of whoever or whatever sent that message pretty quickly. Once the sun came up, it made searching easier, but it also made me a more visible target, so I wanted to make sure I got the data and got out quickly. The signal led to a crash site with no ship. Is this where the abandoned solar ship came from? Seemed unlikely, since it was empty in orbit. I could only figure that it had possibly crashed here and the pilot had made it just space-worthy enough to boost out of Atmo and then get a pickup from someone else. But who could that someone else be? And why all the way out here? Mystery upon mystery. The black box didn't shed very much light on the mystery either. Something about resisting the Scarlet Tyrant and cutting out its eye? That sounds suspiciously like the Atlas. Hey, if these guys are anti-Atlas, I'm for them. I got a new set of coordinates to follow, and holy shit! Oh, that's a lot of them. Well, line up, boys. I got plenty for everyone. Not digging this new shield mechanic they've invented. It's easy enough to get around, but super annoying. Whew, okay. Now that they've gone to the great parts factory in the sky, let's take a look at this beacon.
Navigational data received.
Looks like we're going spacing again. Good. This place has really lost its allure. I'd be glad to have it in the rearview mirror. The signal led me to a floating derelict that looked like a chainsaw had been at it. And an ambush! Who were these guys, and why were they trying to kill me? Unfortunately, these weren't your average pirates and secondhand scavenged ships. As I watched my shields get battered down time and again, I was thinking back to the decision to not upgrade the sword to something approaching modernity as pretty short-sighted. If I lived through this, I might have to rethink that decision. If.
Critical damage taken. Technology recharged.
Thankfully, the sword's a lot tougher than she looks, so even with no shields, all these bastards managed to do was scratch the paint a few times. Which kind of made me mad. You know how much Starship paint runs these days? Inflation on that stuff's a killer. Thanks, Obama. After dispatching the latest round of thugs, my comm trilled at me with an incoming message. It seems whoever these guys were, they were very anti-Atlas, which I liked. But they'd also tried to have me killed, which I didn't. I was all for anyone who undermined the Atlas. The Atlas is slavery, after all. But it seemed like they were on some sort of revolutionary Darwinism kick, testing potential recruits where failure meant death. Yeah, not a fan of that, but I would need to track them down to make my feelings known. Luckily, they were all too willing to give me another set of coordinates,
Technology recharge.
which led to yet another star system. Okay, at least these folks have some brains in their recruiting tactics. You really had to go out of your way to find them. Or it was all a wild goose chase. I considered abandoning the mission for a minute, but decided that maybe having some allies along the way was no bad thing. If nothing else, these dollar store Che Guevaras might be good to have in a scrap. Kaspiev was another fairly standard system, but I wasn't here for sightseeing. I immediately set course for the next beacon. I needed answers. I landed on Urias 75 and instantly regretted it. It was an extreme hazard planet, and by extreme I mean that the description of the current conditions was annihilating mists, and the wildlife immediately wanted me dead. So, Australia, right, got it. Yet even more reason to find this next clue and get out fast. My search led me to a fairly innocuous-looking observatory, but the Korvax inside was anything but innocent. His entire job as the voice of freedom seemed to be waiting for potential recruits who made it this far, giving them a hall pass to the rebel lunchroom, and sending them to another set of coordinates. Okay, fair. I'll play along. However, I admit my respect for secrecy and security from these people was growing. And I was starting to see the reason for their harsh tactics. The Atlas and its sentinel minions was everywhere. You had to be both cautious and ruthless to take them on. No, Emily, I don't have time for more pirates. Someone else needs to deal with this one. Besides, this planet sucks. They can have it. Our next, and hopefully final, port of call was Ninard Boo, and it was a slum run by the Gek. Boy, this just keeps getting better. I can't stand the Gek. I know, but Akodo! It was the first spawn that screwed the Korvax, and by extension the entirety of galactic civilization thousands of years ago, not the current Gek. Right. Tell that to the Korvax. Or the Vy'Keen, for that matter. I'm sure they're in a forgiving mood. Of course there's a fleet under attack as soon as I reorient. Why wouldn't there be? Fine, I'll save your bacon yet again. Oh god, the captain's a Gek. Get off my comms. Finally, after all that, we have our destination. The Rebel base was a repurposed Gek space station that had seen better days, but overall was fairly impressive, especially as it must have been built right under the Atlas's nose. Plus, it was located in a mineral-heavy asteroid belt, which would do a passable job of throwing off any long-range scans. A more focused search would suss them out, but they seemed to go out of their way to ensure that only the truly stubborn traveler would be able to run across them. Unfortunately, the interior seemed much less polished than the exterior and reminded me a lot of the human rebel settlements from the Terminator franchise. Dark, dingy, raw. There was even a fire barrel in one corner with an extremely rough-looking fellow eyeing me suspiciously as I landed. I had a thought that maybe I should just boost and forget the whole thing, but I suspected that would end badly as the station's landing tractors seemed to work just fine. I decided to interview a few of the rebels to see what their revolution was all about. I was surprised to see that, much like Nada and Polo's Nexus, all three main races seemed to be working together, and not just because they were allies of convenience. Everyone spoke of this voice of freedom as if they spoke with one voice. Maybe my half-joke about Che Guevara wasn't too far off the mark, as they seemed to have a very communal approach to their movement, the whole being more than the sum of the parts and all that. Even the Gek were all in on the cause, with no thought to commerce or wealth, which I found mildly astounding. While I was talking to a particular dapper Vy'Keen, an outlaw on one of their solar ships landed. I couldn't resist. It was so pretty and shiny. I had to know what these things were all about. And it sucks. Okay, maybe not sucks. It's honestly not terrible. Aesthetics matter, certainly, but I couldn't justify trading in any of my current fleet for a B class. Ah, a contraband vendor. My estimation of these individuals' morality just went down a few points. Drug running and smuggling aren't the most ethical of ways to make a living. Then again, antimatter doesn't grow on trees. I guess Blade said it best. This ain't exactly the March of Dimes. I'm rich, so screw it. I'll grab all your ill-gotten gains to help fund the cause, and if I sell it in a commercially regulated system at a tidy profit, no complaints here. After talking with a few more denizens of the station, I began to feel a kind of kinship. It had been so long since I'd felt like I was part of something greater than myself, yet not subsuming my sense of self like the Atlas had tried to. Fighting the Atlas was a noble cause, and freeing as many Vy'Keen, Korvax, Travelers, and, yes, even Gek, from its tyrannical control had been my very reason for being for years. Why not join and fight? With a nod and a half smile, the Gek presented me with something he called the Shroud of Freedom. Oh yeah, Mandalorian can eat his heart out. Before leaving, I decided to take a look at the wares offered by the station's salvage dealer. Once again, these were strictly off-the-books pieces of tech. I was going to have to be cautious not to wave this thing around too much. The walls have ears and all that.
Product received.
The station even boasted a bounty master who had a few odd jobs you could pick up to support the revolution. I didn't have time for it today, but I'd certainly be back later. However, at this point I discovered yet another new feature of the simulation. Tech overload. While I was initially irritated, I decided that this was a good change, as it kept the min-max crowd from just stacking multiple plus 10s on their tech and becoming some kind of cyborg god. I'd have to sit down and crunch numbers as to what upgrades were the most space efficient at a later date, though. While I appreciated having new, powerful allies in my search for Emily and my crusade against the Atlas, I needed to continue onward. As I was leaving, the station master was kind enough to provide me with a perfectly legitimate, I'm sure, set of documents that would allow me to pass through system customs and, if necessary, reset my racial prestige back to neutral if my, activities got me on anyone's bad side. With a salute to my co-conspirators, I boosted spaceward again, intending only to make a short stop to offload my more questionable wares. And that offload point was the Everose system, where I simply just prayed no one thought to scan me too much. Hi, people. Totally not here to sell drugs and illegally obtain relics. Go about your business. Phew, glad to have those off my ship. And made a few mil in profit, too. Not a bad day at all.
Received.
So where are we? No closer to Emily than we were. But we did make new friends, have a renewed sense of purpose, our goal is clear, and my resolve is stronger than ever. I guess there's only one place left to go. Onward.